Hey guys, I'm John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox, two amazing science fiction fantasy novels for you on Smashwords, Amazon.com, and right here on YouTube as audiobooks if you want to listen to them. Today, we are here for the second half of Conan the Barbarian, the King Size Special number 2. Both of these stories I read here in this issue were nominated for awards. And it does say which books they were in, but I don't remember. This is Lair of the Beastmen. I think this was number 4, maybe. And the second one is Tower of the Elephant, which I think is number 6. But I'm absolutely not sure. It does say, and it's in really small text. I'm not going to reread it. You guys can check it out. All you real Conan fans already know. And if you know, you know. And it's not really that important, is it? This was what, like 50 years ago? Barry Smith in the early 70s? Before he was Barry Windsor Smith, he was still Barry Smith, Sal Buscema as his inker on this episode. And this is the Barbarian page where they do explain which issues they were originally published in. But they were nominated for comic book awards. And they do mention, this is kind of funny considering the current awards stuff going on. They mention that we've got the Oscars and the Emmys and the Grammys and the Tonys, and why aren't there comic book awards? So they made their own. And that's exactly how this came about. Just like the Nobody Gives a Damn awards, just like the CG awards. And I hope we do get a For the Fans Fest. I really am proud of everyone in Comicsgate who is building an audience that I intend to sell comic books to. Maybe that is a little opportunistic, but I will lend a hand and pitch in and pick up an oar. Here we have Conan, Barry Smith's Conan. This page is a little blurred. This is where he is in the bar. I think they're in Shadazar. I don't know what city they're in. But this guy is talking smack about how there is this giant temple, the tower, this gilded tower, this jewel-encrusted tower, and that no one has the courage to rob it. And in the topmost rooms is called a jewel called the Heart of the Elephant, or some massive jewel. I don't know why this guy would know it's called the Heart of the Elephant. They know a lot in bars. Anyhow, Conan, and you can see this page is a little smeared. The printing was not so perfect. I heard Shane talking the other day about why didn't Marvel buy a printers when they had the chance? They really should have, because apparently they got shafted a lot by the printers that they did employ for other print jobs. Anyhow, here's Conan. He gets into a fight with the fat man, sort of like Billy the Kid in the bar. And he smacks this dude. The dude, well, nonsense goes back and forth. Conan insults him. He insults Conan, but Conan strikes first. This guy jumps out of his chair. The lights go out. He and Conan take swings at each other. And when the lights come back up, Conan is gone. The fat man is dead. Excuse me. And so here he goes directly to the tower of Yara, the wizard, and he sees Yara enter from the shrubs nearby, exchanging words with a guard, and Conan does not notice that Yara's feet do not touch the ground, which is understandable, especially if he's wearing long robes. Regardless, that's up here on this page, the top panel's up here. His feet are floating off the ground. Conan jumps the fence, sneaks into the gardens, and using his honed, savage hunting senses, he discovers that he's not alone, finds another thief. At first he finds the corpse of the guard. Then he finds this red-headed thief with a pencil-thin mustache. Together they face a gang of lions. And this red-headed thief tells Conan he's been planning this for a year, and Conan's just an opportunist, but he could use the help. And he has this poison powder, so when these lions attack, he blows like this datura powder in their faces, or heroin, something to the effect of lotus. I think he even says it's dust of the lotus or powdered lotus leaves, powdered lotus flowers. Lotus, as we all know, is the poppy, which lotus and the poppy produce heroin. The poppy produces heroin. I don't know what the lotus produces. I don't know if the lotus produces anything at all. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But here we get the lions are knocked out for a second until one of them wakes up and attacks. And the lions attack from behind. And Conan turns around just in time to stab it to death with his sword. And they start to climb the tower. And Conan questions, how is this tiny little rope going to help us get up this tower? He's like, dude, it can hold 3 times my weight. Kind of like 550. They call parachute cord 550 cord because it can hold up to 550 pounds before it snaps. But if you bounce on it, you can produce a lot more than 550 pounds of pressure. So you have to be very careful. Here they get up to the rooftop and this dude sneaks inside. And this is Barry Smith's colors, right? You guys notice all the pretty colors on the tower? Some of Barry Smith's other Conan stuff. There were some covers to Conan's Saga, and I'm sure some of the covers to Conan the Barbarian that I don't have, where he really went all out on the jewels in the background. There's one, it's not this issue, where he's doing a ton of coins. Conan is in a treasure room, and in the coins under Conan's feet it says, "I can't believe I'm really drawing all these coins." He wrote it into the shapes of the actual gold. And here's Conan. He's locked out, just doing a little bit of rehashing, catching us up. Here, the door opens up. Oh, did that happen on the last page? The door opens up and the guy falls out dead. And there's these 2 marks on the back of his neck, like a vampire, but it's on the back of his neck. If you guys can see that, I'm going to hold it up closer to the camera. So this guy is dead. Conan goes into this temple vault, treasure room. This is the topmost room of the temple. It's where all the treasure is. And he is attacked by a giant spider that catches his sword with its web. And he has to improvise, adapt, and overcome. He grabs a chest full of gold and jewels and hurls it at the spider and crushes it. Improvised weapons. You're never unarmed. He goes down the stairs and finds the Tower of the Elephant. This is where the writing becomes unique. Most comic book writers, now remember, Robert E. Howard was not a comic book writer at this point. He was writing serials for magazines. Most writers at this point would do a big showdown, right? But the whole issue, the whole episode so far has been a big showdown. He had a showdown in the bar. He had a showdown in the garden, 3, right? With the other thief, with the lions again. And now he just had one with the spider. So the last showdown doesn't necessarily need to be a boss level. And in this way, it's more of a boss level in that Conan has to do something besides swing first. Here, he has to exercise a little bit of empathy. Because first off, the elephant is not attacking him. It's chained to the couch. It's manacled to the couch. So what Conan has discovered is a prisoner. And the elephant tells him his story about how they came from a different world, a different planet, a green planet, and they had wings. And when they got to this world, their wings vanished from them. They lost their ability to fly. And then, one by one, they grew old and died or were killed because they're not immortal. Until finally he was the last one, and he was imprisoned by this wizard Yara, who now has demanded all his information from him and is keeping him here just to exploit him, siphon the life from him. And it's a really heartbreaking story. And Conan is moved by it. And the elephant says, "Could you please if you would do me this last favor, I want you to kill me and then take this jewel across the room, that pink jewel right there, take it down to Yara and tell him this is the last gift from the, I don't remember how he describes himself, from the being that you've exploited all these years. One last enchantment, one last gift, Yara. And so Conan does. He kills the elephant god, and it says down here that it's his least happy strike, or the strike he least wanted to deliver. I think it's a narration when he comes down here and confronts Yara. So now the jewel, this orb, has gone crimson. It's not pink anymore, and it's now deep crimson. Conan brings it down to Yara and gives them the message that the elephant had said to give him, to tell him that it was the last gift, a last enchantment. And the wizard is captivated by it. At first he's, threatened by Conan. He's pissed that someone's there. But then he sees the orb, the crystal ball, the red crystal ball, and he's fascinated by it. And it shrinks him until he's a tiny little man, and he sinks into it, into the center of it. And there Conan sees inside the orb, he's pursued by the flying elephant god for eternity. And the elephant god said, my life is not the same as your life. My death is not the same as your death. And so Conan realizes that, he killed his mortal form, but if you were to go back upstairs, there wouldn't be a corpse on the couch. And, excuse me, of course, the next thing that happens is the temple begins to fall apart because no one ever gets the treasure of Sierra Madre. You never get the treasure. The treasure is in the experience and in the learning and in the moment of empathy where Conan killed a god and carried out its last wishes. It's what separates him from other characters. It's what separates Robert E. Howard's writing from other writers. This is an interesting, unique story. It's not like your usual stuff. So this is a lot to live up to. Most comic book writers do not live up to this because they're artists or they're writers and they're writing on a deadline. There is some stuff I'm looking forward to getting, and it's a pretty fucking high bar. Both the stories in this issue are some of the best Conan stories that have ever been written. They've been adapted by different artists. But think about both of these Conan takes a unique action that other characters would not. He fights against all odds in the first one and inspires a slave revolt. In the second one, he knows when not to fight and when not to exploit and when to have a little sympathy, So, and that's what separates this from other work that you're going to find. Ashley Fox in this story, this is the 6th or 7th volume in the Ashley Fox stories. I want to do 12. They're going to be the Trials of Ash. That's what this series is going to be called. It is called that now. But it needs more. It needs all 12 of them. But so today's conflicted card, changing subjects quickly. Today's conflicted card is that group of marauders have raided your home. This is an end of the world scenario. And they are dragging off one of your loved ones. There are 2 of them. They have pistols. You have an AR-15. Dude, if I have an AR-15 and you're anywhere within range, there's no if about it. With this gun, and if you are anywhere within range, you are in serious trouble. This is a pistol with a lot more rounds than your pistol holds, especially if someone knows what they're doing with it. So there's no way 2 guys with pistols can stop me with this. This is way more accurate than a pistol, and especially if you are, if one of you is occupied holding someone, so you shoot the guy without your friend first, and then you shoot the one who's dragging your wounded, I don't know what you would call it, family member. Sometimes these cards are good, sometimes they're written by idiots. This one says that you have a 50% chance of not hitting your friend as opposed to the perpetrators. That's absurd. Especially if you shoot the one who's not dragging your friend first. Let's say your friend is on their feet and being dragged, like they're tied up, right? And they're like on a leash. And so maybe your friend is in the way of someone. In that case, if they're not unconscious and being dragged like on a litter, in that case, you have to very carefully choose your shot and shoot. You have to wait for the moment to not hit your friend and try and get the person in front of him, because otherwise they're going to use him as a human shield. And if in that case, so the first one, if your friend is unconscious and on the ground and they're not in the line of fire, then you want to shoot the guy who's not holding him, because you'll take the first guy has less reaction time. But if your friend is on their feet, then you have to shoot him first, because otherwise they'll use him as a human shield. And then the second guy is open, he's unobstructed. He doesn't have any cover. So those are all the sorts of things you got to think about. And it's better the more you train the more you bleed in peacetime, the less you bleed in war. Training is everything. Training is everything. Training is everything. That's all comic book art is training, learning, constantly be learning, constantly be improving. So that's all there is to life. If you're going to stop doing that, if you're going to stop learning, you just have to kind of give up and quit, If you're going to stop growing. I heard someone last night say they didn't want to dive into the Warhammer series because it was a game, and if they weren't going to play the game, then any time invested in the fiction of the game was wasted effort. I don't know what to tell that guy. That's a very unhappy person. It's a very unhappy person who's taking opinions simply to be contrary, I suspect. I'll never play Warhammer the game, but I'm on the 27th novel in the Horus Heretic series. I guess there's 400 novels, Decker said. 400? Dude, there's no one at Warhammer who's read all the novels. There's no one working for the company who can hold all of that in their mind at once. I don't remember 90% of the shit that I've heard. I'm listening to audiobooks. I don't remember most of the stuff from the audiobooks I'm listening to. And they're great writers, So I am learning, but still it's a lot to take in. You don't even have to try. It's just immerse yourself in it. I love it. The warp storms, so much of it applies to what I'm working on. Odin could be a Primarch. It's basically I'm working on a Secret Wars concept with Ashley Fox and the Valkyrie. So Valkyrie, in the end of the world, in Ragnarok, the Valkyrie's job are to find great warriors throughout time called the Einherjar and assemble them in Valhalla to wait for Ragnarok, where they train against the war at the end of the world. And so that's kind of the story that I'm working on. And Odin has sent the Valkyrie, the angels. Odin is the Allfather. Yeah, Odin has 72 names. I don't remember how. God has a lot of names. There's only one God. And for all of you out there who think Odin isn't God, yes, he is. Odin is the name for God that you don't have. I don't use the name Yahweh. Yahweh's a Jew god. I use the names Jupiter, Zeus, Odin, Allfather, God. There's no Jews involved. None. Jesus is the Son of God to get rid of the Jews. He's the Son of the God he's God's gift to the Jews to try and get them to cease child sacrifice. And they refused to cease child sacrifice. Some of them became Christians, but the ones who are still Jews are the ones who have refused they say that they are the people of the choice. They're not chosen. They're the ones who chose, and they choose to fight God and put their sins on chickens. You can't do that. It doesn't work. If you're going to fool someone, it's not going to be God. You might be fooling yourself, but you're not fooling the Almighty. You're certainly not fooling the rest of us. We know who you are. So anyhow, in this story, the Valkyrie go throughout time, and it's not in these. These are other volumes. The one I'm working on right now. The other day I had said I'd finished the 101st chapter, and then at the end of this video I had said that I was finished the 102nd chapter, and somehow I'd written a whole chapter while I was sitting here talking to you guys. The first one was wrong. I am on the 102nd chapter, 96,000 words even. I haven't written anything in the last 2 days, so maybe tonight I know what happens in the new chapter. Actually, there's a whole lot that happens, and I'm trying to slim it down. I need to go through and edit this and cut out a lot of stuff. So, but it's the most exciting time of my life. And all I can do is hope that you guys have found something like this. I hope you're writing music. I hope you're creating sculptures. I hope you're learning new tricks to skate. I hope you're doing something that is as much fun as I'm having writing and drawing comics. A lot of it just happens in my head. A lot of it I just have to sit and meditate and think about the elements that I've got working in the story and what scenes work and what lines work and what don't. So yeah, I can't complain. See you guys tomorrow.